There's a man chained to a wall in the dark. He doesn't know how long he's been there. Years, maybe decades. He's lost count. And when a stranger finally finds him, the first thing the man says isn't, "Free me." It's, "Kill me."
And the unsettling part is, we've met this man before. Not in this show, in a Greek tragedy that's almost 2,500 years old.
This is the myth beneath, where we take the stories that scare us now and dig up the older story buried underneath them. I'm Alex.
I'm Zoot.
And today we are going underground, pretty literally, into season 2 of the show From.
Now, one thing before we start, and it's basically a confession.
It's a good confession.
When we sat down to do for season 2 what we did for season 1, line up everything strange in the show against the old folklore, we hit a wall. There was just too much. Season 2 is so loaded with this stuff that there's no honest way to cram it into one video.
So we're not going to. This is part 1 of 2. Today, it's what we're calling the blood, the box, and the bound man. The worms under Boyd's skin, the thing in that town that kills you with a melody, and that prisoner in chains. Next time, part 2, is the children, the tree, and the door out.
So make sure you're around for both halves, because they're really one story.
And if you're new here, the one rule of this show, real quick, because it matters.
The rule is we are not telling you the writers of From read Slavic folklore and copied it. They've actually told us where the show comes from. 9/11, the TV show Lost, a painting by Francis Bacon. Folklore is nowhere on that list.
And what we're claiming is honestly weirder than copying. We think they went looking for the most frightening possible version of a town nobody can leave. And with no map, no folklore textbook, they walked straight into images that Balkan and Slavic villagers had already carved into their nightmares centuries ago. Same theory, different millennium. We call it convergence, not borrowing.
And we keep it honest. When a belief is real and documented, we'll tell you who wrote it down and when. When we're reaching, we'll say out loud that we're reaching. Deal?
Deal. Okay, the man in chains. So this is episode 2, the kindness of strangers. Boyd ends up somewhere he's never been, a stone room, a kind of cell at the top of a deep well. And chained up in there is Martin, ex-military, skeletal. He's been down there so long, he's genuinely lost track of how many years it's been. And
Boyd wants to get him out.
Boyd's a Marine, no man left behind, right? But Martin doesn't want out. He grabs Boyd, cuts both their hands open, presses the wounds together, and says the line the whole episode hangs on, "My blood is your blood now."
And that's where the worms come in.
That's where the worms come in. A little later, Boyd looks down and there are things moving under his skin. The same thing Martin had. Martin wasn't trying to hurt him. In his head, he was handing off a job.
Okay, so this is the scene that made me text you at midnight, because that is not one myth, that's 3 of them stacked on top of each other.
Take them one at a time.
Start with the chains, a man who can't die, in constant pain, begging for death. The Greeks basically own this image. Prometheus.
The one who steals fire.
The one who steals fire for us, yeah. And Zeus punishes him by chaining him to a mountain in the Caucasus, and here's the genius cruelty of it: an eagle comes every single day and eats his liver. And because he's immortal, it grows back every single night, forever. Aeschylus put it on stage in a whole tragedy, Prometheus Bound, back in the 5th century BC. And a later Roman writer, Hyginus, even puts a number on the sentence, 30,000 years on that rock.
And that's the part that actually gets me. It's not the eagle, it's that he's not allowed to die. For him, dying would be the mercy.
Which is Martin, word for word, kill me. That is a man asking for the one thing the universe refuses to hand him.
And you said it's not only Greek.
It's everywhere. Go north. The Norse have Loki. After he pushes the gods one step too far, they chain him in a cave with a serpent fixed right over his face, dripping venom, and he stays there, writhing until the end of the world. Same exact picture. The bound one. Waiting.
Okay, but here's what I really want to know. The blood part. My blood is your blood now. Passing it down the line. Is there actually a myth for that, or did the show just invent it?
This is my favorite piece, and it's Greek again, but it's a deep cut. Chiron, the centaur, the wise teacher, the one who trains all the heroes. He's immortal, but he gets clipped by one of Heracles' arrows, and those arrows are poisoned, and the wound will not heal and will not kill him. So he's just in agony with no way out. And the only exit the myth gives him is this: he gives his immortality away. He hands it off to Prometheus so that he, Chiron, is finally allowed to die.
So, in the myth, immortality is a thing you can pass to someone else.
It's a thing you can pass to someone else, and whoever takes it inherits the suffering that comes with it, which is Martin and Boyd almost beat for beat. But, and here's the honest bit, there is no ancient rite where you slice open your palm and pass a curse on by blood. That specific mechanic, the show made it up. What I'm showing you is that every emotional brick of that scene, the deathless prisoner, the handed-down burden, the relief of finally being allowed to die, all of that is ancient. The pipe is new. The fear running through it is very, very old.
That's fair. So what about the worms themselves? Because that's the image nobody forgets.
So the worms are fascinating because the closest real belief isn't European at all. It's Chinese. In Taoism, there's an idea called the three corpses, sometimes the three worms, supernatural parasites that live inside your body from the day you're born.
Living in you from birth? Really?
From birth, and their entire job is to shorten your life. They want you dead, because the day you die, they're free. And while you're alive, they keep a running list of every bad thing you do and report it upward to heaven to get your lifespan cut even shorter. Little informants, killing you slowly from the inside.
That is horrible, and it is also exactly the from worm.
It's exactly the from worms, a parasite that lives in you, tangled up with your death and your soul. And to be totally clear, that one's Chinese, not Slavic. I'm showing you its passport, but in all of world folklore, it's the cleanest match for the thing inside Boyd.
And does the Slavic side hurt anything?
Softer, but yes. There's a belief documented right across the Slavic world that the soul leaves the body as an insect, a butterfly, a moth, a fly, and specifically that a guilty soul, a soul that still owes a debt, comes back as an insect. So a small crawling thing carrying a human soul or a human debt, the Slavs absolutely had that. We just have to be honest that they pictured a moth, not a worm under the skin.
Okay, so Martin isn't just the prisoner. He is the latest name on a list of men chained to this thing going back who knows how far.
Right, and if that were the only old story Season 2 was quietly rebuilding, that would already be a full episode. But it's nowhere near the only one, because there's something else in that town that kills you. And it doesn't have claws. It doesn't have teeth.
It has a song.
It has a song.
The music box.
The music box. And once you understand what that thing really is, you are going to start hearing Greek sirens inside a child's lullaby.
Okay, sirens and a lullaby. You can't just drop that and walk away. Set it up.
What is the music box? So a few episodes in, and the episode is literally called Lullaby, keep that in your back pocket, people in the town start hearing music, a little tune, the kind a music box makes. And it isn't charming. It's the announcement that something is coming.
There's an actual music box.
There's an actual music box, little ballerina on top, little mirror behind her, and when she dances, this thing is near. 3 people, Julie, Randall, and Marielle, get pulled into what's basically a shared nightmare they can't wake up from. Hallucinations that can actually kill them. And the rule the show gives you is brutal in how simple it is. When the music stops, your time is up.
Okay, my brain goes straight to one place, and I think it's the obvious one, but tell me if I'm wrong. Music that kills you. That's Greek. That's the siren.
It's the sirens, and you're not wrong, but it's better than people remember. Everybody pictures the sirens as beautiful women luring sailors. What we forget is what the song actually was. It wasn't a love song. Odysseus has his crew plug their ears with wax and tie him to the mast, specifically because the siren's song is the song of death. There's a classicist, Walter Copland Perry, who called it the forerunner of death and corruption.
The forerunner of death. That's the music box exactly. The tune isn't the danger. The tune means the danger's already here.
That's it. The melody is the herald, and the Greeks carved sirens onto tombs, figures that escort the dead. So the music box and the sirens are doing the identical job.
a sound that means death is in the room.
Okay, but you said lullaby, a children's tune. The sirens aren't a children's thing.
No, and that's the second myth hiding in there, and it's German, the Pied Piper of Hamelin.
Oh, that one's dark when you actually look at it.
We have sanitized it so hard. We think it's a guy who pipes rats out of town. Go back to the oldest version. The Grimm brothers preserved it from a manuscript that goes back to about 1440, and it isn't about rats at all. It's a date, the year 1284, the town of Hamelin, a piper in brightly colored clothes, and 130 children follow his music out of town and are never seen again.
130 kids gone. To a song.
To a song. And a lot of historians think it's the memory of a real catastrophe, a plague, a mass death, a children's crusade, encoded as a man with a flute, which is the whole thesis of this channel. Horror remembering a real horror. And look where it points. Music that steals children. Hold on to that, because part 2 is the children.
That's a setup and a half. Okay, anything left in the music box or do we move on?
One more piece, and it's the prop itself. The ballerina dances. There's an entire European death tradition built on exactly that, dancing to your death. The Danse Macabre, the dance of death. The most famous version was painted on a Paris cemetery wall in the 1420s, a skeleton leading people of every rank away in a dance. And it wasn't only art. In 1518 in Strasbourg, there was a dancing plague, documented. People danced in the streets for days and some of them dropped dead.
Wait, that's real? People literally danced until they died?
Historically recorded, and nobody fully knows why. And the show hands you a dancing figure whose dance ends your life. Same nightmare. Plus, the one detail I love, the mirror behind her, because across the Slavic world and Romania and a lot of Europe, you cover the mirrors when someone dies. The fear is that the soul gets caught in the glass. So this music box is almost a little machine made of death folklore. A herald song, a deadly dance, and a soul trap all in one box.
That's genuinely unsettling, and I notice you keep flagging the passports. Greek, German, medieval.
I want to stay clean about it. The sirens are Greek, the Pied Piper is German, the dance macabre is late medieval Western Europe. The mirror is the part that's actually Slavic. I'm not pretending one culture built that box. I'm saying the writers reached for death has a sound and 4 different peoples already owned a piece of it.
Okay, so the music has a melody. Does it have a chorus? Because the thing I couldn't stop hearing in season 2 wasn't the music box. It was bugs.
The cicadas, they get louder all season, like a clock winding down. They choked people. They put 3 of them into wide-eyed comas. And here's the detail. When that grinning creature is finally cut open, the cicadas are crawling all over the corpse.
So what's the cicada myth? Because if music that kills was a layup, this feels like the big one.
And here's where I have to be the honest broker, because this is the one people want me to oversell, and I won't. The cicada is a real death and rebirth symbol, but mostly in 2 places, and neither of them is Slavic. In Greece, there's Tithonus.
Tithonus?
A goddess falls in love with him and begs the gods to make him immortal, and they do it, but she forgets to ask for eternal youth. So he can't die, but he keeps aging forever. He shrivels, he weakens, he babbles, and finally he's so withered he just turns into a cicada, a dry husk that won't stop making noise.
Hang on, that's Martin again, the immortal who can't die and begs for the end.
That's Martin again, which is the only reason I think the cicada earns a place in this episode. Not because of Slavic folklore, but because it's the same fear as the man in chains, wearing an insect's body. The other home for it is China, jade cicadas, carved and laid on the tongues of the dead for rebirth. Beautiful. Also, not Slavic. So on our usual scorecard, the cicada is a real symbol, but it's Greek and Chinese, and the specifically Slavic grounding is thin. The Slavs had the soul as insect idea, the moth. We covered that. But I'm not going to stand here and tell you Balkan villagers had a cicada myth, because honestly, they didn't. Not in the strong way. That's the honest version.
And that's exactly why people trust us. Okay, the body. You keep mentioning the grinning thing they cut open. Let's get to it. You told me this is the best one in the whole episode.
It's the best one in the whole episode. So Boyd kills one of the monsters, this grinning figure in old 1960s clothes, and he kills it with his infected blood, the worms. And then the show does something it almost never lets you do. They cut a monster open, an autopsy.
And what's inside?
Human being, human anatomy. but, and this is the key, completely dried out, desiccated. No blood, no fluids, a husk. They drain a little bile, and that's all that's left. It's a person with everything taken out of it.
Okay, let me guess. There's a folklore match. Dried out corpse, looks human but isn't quite. That's a vampire.
And here's why I saved it for last, because it is the opposite of a vampire, and that's so much more interesting than a match.
The opposite?
Everybody pictures the movie vampire, pale, gaunt, thin. That is not the folklore vampire, and we don't have to guess because we have real records. Serbia, 1725, a man named Peter Plagojevic dies, and weeks later, the villagers are certain he's coming back. So the authorities dig him up, and there's an official report written by the Austrian official who was there. The body, 10 weeks in the ground, is, their word, completely fresh. Fresh blood in his mouth. And when they drive the stake in, fresh blood runs out of him.
10 weeks dead, full of fresh blood. Full of blood.
There's a second case, 1732, a man named Arnold Paul, and this time a military surgeon signs the report. They exhume bodies they describe as being in the vampire state, bloated, ruddy, swimming in liquid blood, so much that they burn the bodies and throw the ashes in the river. And there's a scholar, Paul Barber, who basically wrote the book on this, and he says it flat out. The folklore vampire is not your pale screen Dracula. He's ruddy, he's bloated, he looks almost too alive. A skinny, dried-up corpse? In the folklore, that was your proof that you were not dealing with a vampire.
So the real fear was never a body with no blood. It was a body with too much.
Too much, the corpse that's fuller than it has any right to be. Now look at what Fromm does. It takes that creature and makes it bone dry, drained, empty. They didn't copy the vampire, they turned it inside out. The folklore monster is overfull of blood. The Fromm monster has had every last drop taken. It's the same horror running backwards.
That actually gives me chills because it's not,
Look, same thing. It's they understood the rule well enough to break it.
That's the whole thing. And one last detail, to keep myself honest. The grin, the smiley face. That is not some ancient folkloric type. There's no smiling corpse monster in the books. What there is biology. When a body dries out, the gums in the skin pull back and the teeth get bared. Mummified bodies look like they're grinning. So even the smile, the thing that makes it scariest, is just what a real desiccated corpse actually looks like.
the fear is ancient and the smile is just a dead body. God, this show.
This show.
Okay, that's the blood, the box, and the bound man. Worms that are an immortal's curse, a music box that's a Greek siren and a German piper and a medieval dancing plague crammed into one little machine, and a monster that's a vampire turned inside out. And the writers built
Every piece of it, without ever opening a folklore book. Same fears, different millennium. Next time, part 2, the children, the tree, and the door out. The kids who keep whispering one word nobody can understand, a tree that swallows people whole, and what's waiting underneath the entire town. It's the half of season 2 that gets into your bones.
So if this got under your skin, subscribe so part 2 finds you. Drop a comment with the myth you want us to dig up next, and share it with the one person you know who's still awake at 3 in the morning thinking about that task.
We'll see you under the surface, part 2.